Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Mandalay BCD. We have BadWPAD with Maxim Goncharov. Before we begin, I've got a few brief notes. Stop by the business hall located in Bayside AB. The Black Hat Arsenal is in the Palm Foyer on level 3, and the Arsenal reception is at 1700. If you haven't had a chance to pick up merchandise, today is the last day. Visit the Black Hat Swag and Bookstore. Visit the Kali Linux Lab in Mandalay Bay A. And thank you for putting your phone on vibrate. We appreciate it. Maxim?
Hello, everybody. My name is Maxim Goncharov. I was working for Trend Micro for 15 years. Now I'm changing a bit my direction and moved to the Bay Area from Germany. I'm going to work in a small company called Shape Security. Today's talk about the BadWPAD protocol, which I think some of you know already, and I'm going to disclose you some interesting information, some experiments I've done last year about that. I think it's really good then you have a free lunch, and for me it's also really good because you can eat for free, but when you have it during the presentation, I think it's not so good, so people will still come in, so that's why I will start now and people will join. Yeah. So the BadWPAD protocol came to the devices and to the software in 1996 when the Netscape Navigator 2.0 was released that time. And at that time this was quite advanced technology to let people go to the internet in case of you join the corporate network. For example, when you bring your device in a corporate network and you don't want to really interact with the IT guys, or IT guys don't want to really interact with you, this protocol was really helping. So basically you have your device connected to the internet, to the network, the local network, and your local network gives you information about how you access the internet, what the proxy settings to use. And this is all about that. BadWPAD protocol gives information about the network settings for the proxy in two different ways, using the DHCP propagation and using the DNS. So DHCP is working quite simple. So basically when you receive the IP address, with additional request, your operating system will receive the information about the placement of the wpad.dat file. Actually, it is a proxy.pack file, which consists of the JavaScript. And this JavaScript gives the directions how to use a proxy, especially for the certain configuration of your system. Plus, when you access certain domain names, it also will give you directions how to do that. In case of we talk about the DNS, it's working a bit different. So in case of you open your settings, let's say on your Windows machine or on your iPhone, you can actually select to get the proxy settings automatically from network or not. And proxy settings received from the machine inside the network, which is named WPAD. And the propagation of the information about this machine goes in different protocols, for example, via NetBIOS or via the just DNS settings of your network. And it's quite interesting because when you receive the settings, actually your machine making the DNS request. First request going like that. So you have a top-level DNS prefix in your network, plus some additional levels of the network settings, and your request going, for example, in case of I'm working for Trend Micro, in Trend Micro we have a top-level DNS prefix called trendnet.org. So in case of you making the request, you're making a request like wpad.trendnet.org. But in case of you situate it in a bigger network, for example, I'm living in Munich and the office is in Bavaria, so we're making a request like wpad.munich.bavaria.trendnet.org. It works exactly in this way. But the problem with this protocol, that protocol looking for the settings from up to down. So basically, in case of we making request wpad.munich.bavaria.trendnet.org, the next level will be, in case of the DNS is not resolved, will be like wpad.bavaria.trendnet.org. Next step, in case of the DNS not resolved, going even lower and going like wpad.trendnet.org. On this stage, the DNS request should be stopped, and your system should not looking for the DNS settings for the DNS record for wpad.trendnet.org, because this is just the top level. But in some cases, with some software, requests going even deeper and requests going like wpad.org which is completely wrong, but it's still working in this way. So basically, in case of your own domain name, like BadWPAD.org or BadWPAD.com, depending on your network, or BadWPAD, whatever you can imagine, you can get this request inside, outside of the local network, and you can get this request in the internet. So request looking like that. So basically, when the WPAD request via DNS working, so the first step is that your machine trying to resolve the name. If the name is resolved, then the IP address used from the name resolvement will be used for the HTTP GET request. And this is just a screenshot how WPAD request looks like. So basically, your machine requesting the file like IP address / WPAD.dat. And I made several experiments around this problem. And the first experiment was that in case of I name my machine like WPAD inside the network, basically I was expecting to get some kind of traffic on my machine. So basically you see my laptop over here, and this laptop was renamed, literally renamed to WPAD name. And I take my laptop in different places and see the traffic. This year, in January, I was visiting the conference in Bay Area called Enigma, and I decided just to make a test. So I came to the airport of Munich and switched on my laptop connected to Wi-Fi network, and I've seen the traffic. I was a bit surprised because usually the traffic needs to be really encapsulated from the IP address to IP address, but it's not always. The next step was that I was flying for Trend Micro really often, so I was able to visit the business launch of Trend Micro. I came to the business launch. I connected to Wi-Fi of the business launch, and I've seen the traffic as well. But this traffic was a bit different because people who sit in the business launch, they are really interesting people maybe for the attack, right? So I was surprised, and I was really trying to see how many requests I have on my laptops. On my laptop, actually, I'm running the Apache server with just a simple local rotation, so I can see the activity over there. The next step was that I board the Lufthansa flight Munich to San Francisco direct flight, and they have a Wi-Fi on board. For Wi-Fi, I have to pay, but I didn't want to pay. I just didn't want to. I wanted to try how the exactly thing works on board, and believe me, it was exactly the same. So I connected to the Wi-Fi, even though I haven't paid for the internet, but I still was on the network, and I've seen the traffic right on board on the plane. And in case of I was a bad guy and I was trying to attack people, in this case I can get really sophisticated people who really sit in the business or first class, because usually people who fly in business or first, they pay for the internet, or maybe they get it in some coupons for free. Arriving to San Francisco, exactly the same way, exactly the same situation. So I was waiting for my luggage in the San Francisco airport. Sometimes it takes a really long time. So I decided to just try it, just for fun, in case if I can open my laptop, connect to the Wi-Fi, which is free in San Francisco airport for, I think, half an hour, and I seen the traffic again. And of course, I joined the conference. On the conference, actually, I don't really blame the conference, because they use just hotspots provided by the hotel where the conference was hosted. And of course, I also seen the traffic over there. This is interesting because when we talk about security people and security conferences, people need to be really careful when people connect to the open Wi-Fi from the hotel. This Wi-Fi is not really protected, and I can see the traffic again. So basically, in case I would be a bad guy, I can use it. And as a statistics, I just want to provide you, so I can see the traffic also, because I was traveled a lot afterwards. I seen the traffic on the different conferences. I seen the traffic when I was visiting the micro office, which actually was fixed immediately when I informed the company I was working. But I think the problem still exists on different places, and I think it's quite dangerous from this point of view. The second step of the experiment I did, so I decided to go and trying to evaluate about domain names I mentioned before. So I told you before, in case of you leak, in case of you own the right domain name, and this domain name is accessible on the port 80, and this domain name can provide some additional file to the people who requesting this file, so you can see the traffic. So basically, initially it works in the way like I decided to buy just one domain name for fun, to see in case of it's working. It was like a beginning of last year. I bought domain name for fun because I believe that problem is fixed, and problem was fixed by different big companies, and big companies was telling that they will patch that and everything is okay. So I just decided to buy the domain name and go for test. I bought the domain name like 12 o'clock a.m. Munich time, And I spin up the AWS machine, micro instance, just to receive the traffic. So I put the IP address in the ADNS record of this domain name. The domain name was wpad.to. And after about 25 minutes, I start receiving the traffic. So the first night when the domain was running, I received about 30,000 requests on my domain name. These 30,000 requests was not really unique, so some of them was repeated. But I think I had seen like about 400 or 500 unique IP addresses where I received the traffic. Afterwards, I came to the management of Trend Micro and suggested them to buy a bit more domain names. They supported me, so I bought like about 15 domain names and start just receiving the traffic for analysis. So I just decided to collect as much traffic as possible to see from what user agents I received the traffic, because I believed at the first step that traffic will be generated only by browsers, which is not really correct. And this is just a screenshot I received, I think it's from a few months ago. And you see that the domain names shown here, I also decided to go not only for usual TLDs, but also for new TLDs. And some of the traffic really interesting because you can see that the unique IP address is quite low number, but the hits are quite high. So actually this screenshot done from the software called AWStats, which is not really developed for such analysis, but just to have it as simple as possible, I decided to use software for that. And as soon as I'm a German citizen, I live in Germany, I decided, okay, first of all, of course, I checked who owns wpad.de as a domain name. And the guy, Carsten Kruger, this name doesn't tell me anything. But the problem was that the guy who owned the domain name wpad.de was running the Apache server with the proxy configuration file on the server side. So there was a WPAD file, and WPAD file was providing just direct connection to the internet. So basically in the proxy settings, you're writing, in proxy script, you're writing the settings that directly access the internet, that's it. But the problem is that you can modify this file on the fly. So in case of you come from one IP address, you show direct connection. In case you come from another place, you can show maybe something different. So basically you can targeting people with a tag by IP address. Of course, as a good German citizen, I immediately informed police about that because I think it's not really good, because I cannot really test, I cannot really confirm if it's dangerous or not. So police literally was involved in that, and as soon as I showed them presentation, what I'm showing to you now, they was really shocked. They're saying like, oh, so this, we need to do this something. So they literally was looking for the guy, so they sent the squad to the address which mentioned at the domain name record. But basically in Germany, in case you buy domain name, you have to provide your personal information. You cannot buy DE domain name without providing this information. So they came to Berlin to find the guy. The address was wrong, but finally they found the guy somewhere in Köln. The guy was from CC Club, and at the beginning he was really declining all the things related to WPAD. But at the end of the day, the police was able to get the log files from him, and it looks like he was not using it in a bad way. So that's good. And I would like to really credit the Christian Porsche and Volker Petters on that, because these two policemen was really active in this research, and I was really amazed that the German police was really able to help me with that. Oh, sorry for that. When we're talking about the domain names, of course I scanned all possible WPAD domain names from different TLDs just to find out who owns the domain names. So some of the domain names like .com and .org, they're really blocked, so nobody can use them. But some of the domain names owned by a really strange company, for example, a company called Weblog. This company, it's a small company. They provide the app which give people possibility to block the ads in case of you install this app on the iPhone, for example, iOS. And they use exactly the same technology for WPAD propagation, so they provide customers with WPAD.dat file, and in this file they write the rules what the domain names ignore in case of people trying to access them from the iOS, for example. But also I found out that this company owns a lot of domain names, which is really strange, like for example from Belgium, from Spain, from Greece, from Poland, from Czech Republic, Italy. And I was quite surprised because of that. And also the company runs the Actually, they run also the server with the WPAD.dat file with really tricky regular expression things inside. So I'm still working on this file, but I was trying to contact this company, nobody answered me. So in case of somebody represents the company here, please contact me. I think we can talk about that. The problem is that this company also owns some domain names, which are really dangerous. I mean, and it's not possible to get such a domain names nowadays easily. For example, domain name like WPAD.tw. TW, it's a Taiwan. You cannot buy domain name from Taiwan if you're not Taiwan citizen. You cannot buy domain name from Taiwan if you are com.taiwan in case of you are not business in Taiwan. But the people from Poland and this company was able to buy these domain names and use it somehow. Or from China, you see these domain names. It's really strange. And there's Thomas Kapersky, the guy who owns this app and owns these domain names. I don't know what he's doing really. So it's maybe possibility for some of you for the next research. But in case of we talk about domain names, this is just a live log you can see on my servers. I just filmed it, not to demo it here, but if some of you want to real demo, you can come over after the presentation, I can show it to you. And it's quite heavy, so sometimes you can see traffic going like that, really fast, but it depends on time of the day and the domains we use. During the experiment number 2, from the last, let's say, October till today, I collected 79 million requests on my honeypots, which are running now on the Amazon, and I received about 500,000 unique IP addresses, which was accessing that. And user agents, it's also a big thing, but I think I will go here a bit faster. So we don't see all the time user agents. So about 40% of user agents are just empty. So I cannot really predict even from what software, from what hardware this request coming from. That can be IoT devices, it can be everything, self-driven cars or whatever. So we cannot tell, and this is a big problem here. So we can see only about 60% of the traffic. We can identify this traffic as traffic from some of the devices, even though this 60% not only from the domain names. As you can see from the previous slide, a lot of software on the software level making such a request as well, so independently of the operating system, which is really dangerous, I think. And on this slide, just quite of the statistics I collected also. This statistics just summarizing several versions of the software, and we can see that, for example, from different types of software you still receiving the requests, and I think I cleaned from these statistics all the browsers. It's only software which is not really the browsers. I have another 10 minutes, so I will pass some slides by because I have something to tell you more about that. So you see in my experiment number 2, I registered several new TLDs. And I believe, and I decided to submit my work on the Black Cat just because of the new TLDs, because this problem with BadWPAD is quite known. And I told you that it's it's known since 2007, 2006 already. But new TLDs is coming. Nobody was researching in the scope of that. The problem is that the new TLD is allowing you to register also on the TLD level, the top domain level, the name. And if you know your target, if you know the network where you would like to target, for example, if you know the network of the company and you know what the top level DNS proxy they use, so basically you can predict what domain name you need to register, and then you can attack people. For example, in case I gave you example of trendnet.org, trendmicro, top level DNS suffix. In our case, in the case of trendmicro, this domain name is already owned by the company, and wpad.trendnet.org is owned by the company domain name, so it's not big deal. But in case of company use some kind of name and a top level DNS suffix, then you can really predict that and possibly attack. And I'll show you one example about that. So we know that in Tokyo the games will happen in 2020. And I thought, okay, in case of I know that the games will be in Tokyo, so maybe I can go and try to protect from the point of view of the Japanese company where I was working, Trendmicro's Japanese company, to protect games, to buy in the special domain name just to predict the domain name. So my idea was just to look for the domain name I can buy and protect the games, and then show it how it really works. So I decided, okay, I checked the several domain names. I thought that, okay, Tokyo domain name would be fine. So it's new TLD, which was released a few months ago, I think. Maybe last year, I'm not sure. So I just decided to go and check in case wpad.tokyo is not blocked maybe by government of Tokyo, I don't know, whatever. So I just seen it, it's open. I decided I have to buy it just to protect, because in case of somebody else will own it and really can make use of it. So I bought this domain name, and I start receiving traffic immediately. So you can see this traffic here. So and it's even more than all what I had from my other domain names I registered for my experiment. So just one domain name brought me about 60 million requests just for how many months? Like 6 months. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, till July. And most of the requests was coming from just the several IP addresses. So you can take a look here. I had only like about 200, 300 IP addresses unique. So for other domain names in the experiment, it was much higher rate. So I bought this domain name and start just observing what's happening. So of course I checked what's the top requested IP address. And the IP address was like 61, 120, 205, 101. So, and I thought, okay, that's interesting because this just one IP address generates several thousand requests per day, first. And second, this domain name also, this IP address also generate traffic with the different user agents. So for me, it means that it's just an exit point for some kind of big organization. And of course, when I Googled it a little bit more, so I found out this is the government of Tokyo. So basically, government of Tokyo, they have in top level DNS suffix .tokyo as a part of the domain name, and a lot of operating systems and the devices they use, they go in via just one exit point. They're trying to download my file. So I was really happy that I was able to protect government of Tokyo just by buying the domain name, so which was quite easy. From the other hand, if somebody else would buy it and then provide the proxy configuration for the government of Tokyo and then use it for middle, that would be really dangerous. So there was, I think, good catch from myself, and I was really happy that we can do that. And as a Japanese company, we can protect government of Tokyo. That was really cool. Another thing, we can talk a bit about the hardware. So when we're talking about the top-level DNS suffix, you can see also different stuff here. And I'm showing you my personal things. So I use at home in Germany a router called Fritzbox from the company AVM. This router is really popular in Germany. So I think more than 60% of households use this router or routers from this company. Every router from this company provides top-level DNS suffix, which is looking like fritz.box. So in case of you go to connect to the router and you go, for example, in your macOS device, you can see that your top-level DNS suffix, it's also called a search domain on the Linux and the Mac machines. You can see this fritz.box, it's a top-level DNS suffix for you. Yeah, search domain fritz.box. So basically, in case of you can own domain name like fritz.box, you can attack. And attack can happen in case of you can own domain name. But .box TLD will go live, I think, end of this year. So what I did, I just gone on some of the registrars and reserved this domain name like fritz.box, just to be sure that nobody else can do that. Because in case of somebody else can do that, you can attack more than 60% of households in Germany immediately, just to providing them WPAD.fritz.box information, proxy information out of that. And I think it's also dangerous because it's just one small example. A lot of routers using exactly the same idea. And in case of you see some other routers, for example, in Tremicro Office, we was using Wi-Fi router from Cisco, and the top-level DNS suffix was like some kind of CGN 114. So basically, in case of you can own such a TLD, you can attack all the routers like that. And just to highlight and finalize my speech around that. So my aim here was just to submit into Black Hat to make aware that this problem is not fixed, and this problem is really dangerous in the scope of the new TLDs, because new TLDs really bring people possibility to register domain names. And I'm sure some of you now already going to GoDaddy or somewhere else and trying to register domain names like WPAD, I don't know, to fun or WPAD to .cool or whatever is free now. So this is dangerous. This is really need to be solved somehow. And you can protect yourself, of course, in case of you're running inside your network some kind of machine with WPAD name, or you disable all these proxy settings. But at the end of the day, I collected a lot of information from my honeypot where I was running, a lot of apps using this protocol independently from OS. And in case of you disable it in your operating system, your apps will still request this information just because they would like to access the internet. And this is a big problem. Thank you so much.